we all have within us a fear of death. It's innate in the impulse for life, is the impulse to resist death or to avoid death. And that's just it's a facet we all have in common. Some people experience it more strongly than others. And so when we're with someone that's making their transition, they may be in fear, active fear about transitioning, and we may be also activated by that fear, especially if it's a family member or a loved one. You know, we have our own, we may really just not want to see them go. And there's fear around seeing loved ones suffer. We don't want to see we really don't want to, our hearts feel it. We don't want to see anyone suffer. So there can become just normal, very normal fear. And there's nothing wrong with that. What I like to look at is, how do we allow the space for the fear to be there, but we counteract the contracting forces of the fear so that we can keep the container spacious, right? So transform the fear so it's a little less sticky, and then open up and expand the container so that it can hold the space for everything, for all the emotions, for all of the experience unfolding, right? There is an oil that I just love for how it immediately creates a really big, luscious, soft, comforting container that can hold everything, and that's rose. Yeah, pure rose. And I think of rose, it's like an emblem for Mother Mary, if you resonate with Mother Mary as a deity, and as a symbol, really, also of compassionate grace, pure compassionate grace, pure compassionate acceptance. Because I'm sure that you've experienced that we can, when we're in the expansiveness of pure compassionate grace, we can hold all of it. We can hold the deeply uncomfortable. We can hold the extreme suffering. We can hold major anxiety and fear. Like, all of it can be there. And when I say hold, I mean we're not in opposition to it. Because when we're in opposition to whatever it is, the fear, say, or the worry of suffering of a loved one, when we're in opposition to it, what happens? It actually grows. The energy of that opposition grows. So you bring in something like rose, the energy of Mother Mary, which is this broad, vast, compassionate acceptance of all of it, all of it, all of it. And then you don't have to effort from your mind and say, okay, Tiffany, stop being so fearful now, or it's okay, I know they're suffering now, but soon they'll be out of their pain. All of that's fine. But if you can be lifted out of that mental scape and just relax into the pure presence, then your medicine with a capital M gets to be there in full force. I would say, for me, it's like rose allows me to show up in full force. Full presence is probably a better way to say it, full presence. So a couple things about rose. It is a very expensive oil, and for that reason you see it adulterated a lot. So you want to make sure that you get it from a company, a brand that you trust. And a lot of companies do something really cool, which is that they dilute it to a 10 or 15% strength, so it makes it more affordable to have. So I recommend that. If you go to look for rose, you hear me talking, you go Google rose and you see it's like $200 a bottle, look for a diluted rose and you should be able to find a really lovely rose, 10 or 15% dilution in a 5 ml bottle for a reasonable price. And then when you have the rose, let's talk about where to put it and what to do with it. So Jeanette knows, because she and I have done some work together over the years and studies, and there's a technique that I teach and encourage people to do in working with the oils. It's called aroma point therapy. And all it is placing the essential oil on a specific acupoint or over a chakra zone. And so with Rose, I recommend just placing it right over the heart. And in fact, I'll show you. Is it okay if I go to screen share? Okay, let's see. I've got it here for us. See there. Oops, that's lung 1. Hold on, let me go. And that's heart 7. We're going to talk about that one later. There we go. Can you see this, CV17, Jeanette? Okay. Yeah. So this point is right over the heart chakra. If you find the level of the nipples and you go about an inch higher than that on the center of your sternum, it's right there. And you can take a drop of your diluted rose and put it right on that point. By the way, you can do this on the person who is making their transition, but also you can just do it on yourself. You can just do it on yourself, and it actually aids the person making their transition just as it's aiding you. And I'll often have family members who have a loved one who's transitioning do this on themselves to aid the whole picture, the person who's transitioning plus them. And that's how it works. You're actually treating the entire field. So you're going to apply that one drop over CV17, and you're going to hold it with just a light touch. This is really important. You're not pushing in like a acupressure. It's just a contact on that point. And then you're going to hold it for 1 to 3 minutes. And just, this might be a great opportunity. I feel like, Jeanette, you might have talked to them, or another speaker's talked about breath work during transitions. So this could be a nice time to do a bit of breath work, visualization, or just nothing, just a nothing, just like go into the empty space of just allowing while you're touching there. The name of this point is called Primordial Child, which I also really, really love, because in some ways the end of life, as we're exiting, mirrors the beginning of life. There's a lot of resonance between those two. So in a way, it's like we're supporting that transition out by also touching in on the resonance of what we come in with, our primordial child.